So what would your reaction be on finding out the murderer of your loved one? And wouldn't your blood boil seeing that killer in front of your eyes? And how would you feel finding out that that monster is not gonna get punished for his wrongdoings just because of the absence of a mere evidence? This is exactly what has happened in the murder of these three innocent girls. Hello mysterious family and welcome back to Mysterious Mariam. Today's video is a part 2 of Oklahoma Camp Scott murders. If you have not watched part 1 yet, I will put its link in the description box and up right corner of this video because part 2 will not make any sense if you have not watched part 1. Before we go into the details of today's video, let me put forward a fair warning that this video is going to include the theme of murder and sexual abuse of minors, so viewer discretion is advised. And if you are someone who is interested in true crime, strange and real life mysteries, don't forget to subscribe my channel and share the videos with your friends and family because that's exactly what we are gonna do on this channel. Let's get into today's video. Bodies of three girls, Lori Lee Farmer, Michele Guse and Denise Milner in their sleeping bags were found on the trail near Counselor's Camp in Camp Scott, Oklahoma. Police was immediately called and camp was evacuated within few hours. The bodies were found approximately 150 yards from tent number 8 where these girls were residing. Several pieces of evidence were found from crime scene including used duct tape which was used on the little girls along with a roll of duct tape, a rope, a pair of women's eyeglasses with glasses case and a big red flashlight. This flashlight had duct tape wrapped on the lens in an effort to dim its light and a piece of newspaper in the battery compartment to avoid rattling of batteries with the plastic body of the flashlight. The newspaper was of 17th April 1977 edition of Tulsa World, pages 5 to 12, section C. The bodies of the girls apparently showed clear signs of sexual assault, being partially naked and they were badly beaten. Authorities now moved to tent number 8 where girls were sleeping. Tent number 8 was another gruesome scene. There was blood everywhere. Parts of the floor, the mattress and parts of the tent were broken. There was bloody footprint on the floor as well. Near the perimeter of the camp, there was a crowbar and some beer bottles. Authorities believed that Lori and Michele were most likely killed inside the camp and Denise was most probably taken outside alive and then got killed there. On June 16th, medical examiner announced that the girls had not been raped but they were sexually molested. But I found another report that showed that 2 girls were sexually molested and only Denise was raped. Now I'm not sure which of the 2 informations is true. Anyways, Lee Farmer and Denise Guse were beaten to death and Milner had been strangled. Now police and OSBI officials were searching all the surrounding areas. They also went through Sheriff Ranch, the owner of which was Jack Sheriff, and his ranch was within a mile of the camp. Jack Sheriff became the first suspect of the case as he had similar duct tape at his ranch and the rope that was found on the crime scene was definitely the part of the rope which was found on his farm. But his name was immediately cleared as he had a strong alibi and he told authorities that somebody has burglarized his ranch and stole some of the food, a duct tape and a rope and some bottles of beer. Search for the killer was still continued when investigators came across 3 caves surrounding the camp area which were not clearly visible from afar. In the caves they found some grocery items, newspaper pages from the same newspaper that was found in the flashlight that was discovered from the crime scene, 2 photographs of 2 unknown females, a duct tape similar to which was found on crime scene, and in one of the cave they found a note written on the wall stating 17/7/77. The killer was here. Bye bye fools. Remember the photographs found in the cave? Investigators found out that these photographs were stolen from a photographer and were developed by a man while he was serving his time in Granite Reformatory. This man was Leroy Hart. Leroy Hart was born in November 1943 in Oklahoma. He was a famous, talented football player in his area. He was well known for his criminal behaviors. And guess what? He grew up just a few miles away from the Camp Scott. In June 1966, Gene abducted 2 pregnant women outside of a nightclub took them to Mayes County, where he brutally raped them and let them go. Interesting fact is that both these victims were wearing eyeglasses, and one of Hart's inmates later on told authorities that he had a habit of stealing eyeglasses like it was some kind of his fetish. Anyways, he was later captured and charged with kidnapping and rape, but only after a few months he was released on a parole. Parole, if you don't know, is release of a prisoner before his sentence expiry on the promise of good behavior. But soon after his release, he started breaking into people's house. He had a history of violence and sexual crimes. His crime spree was hard to follow. He apparently committed 3 robberies which were never reported to the police until his 4th robbery, which he attempted at the house of a Tulsa police officer, where he got caught and eventually convicted on 4 counts of burglary. Since he was on parole and he committed all these burglaries this time, he was given consecutive 90 years in prison, and now he had to serve around 350 years in jail. In 1973, Gene attempted to escape when he was taken to the court for a hearing, but he was caught quickly. He was sent to Mayes County Jail, where he tried to escape again, and this time he was successful. Now, I don't find this information connected to this case, but I think there is no harm mentioning it. Apparently, there were some ominous threats or a curse placed by some medicine man. This was the same man who was hiding Gene Hart in his house from police. He put this curse on the tracking dogs that were working on this case, that they would die, and 2 of the 3 tracking dogs actually died, which can be an absolute coincidence. Almost 10 months went by when Gene Hart was finally arrested on April 6, 1978. He was hiding at a house in the Cookson Hill, around 45 miles away from the Camp Scott. The problem with Gene's arrest and his trial was that Gene Hart had a lot of supporters who were of the opinion that Gene was just being discriminated on racial grounds and is being blamed of the crime which he had no involvement in. The trial revealed all the negligence and irresponsibility committed by the Camp Scott organizers. There were various incidents that took place at the Camp Scott prior to the summer camp. Someone once slashed a tent flap. There were various burglaries and the threatening note that we know of. Despite all these threatening signals, Camp Scott organizers never bothered to report these incidents to police or disclose this information to the girls' parents, or at least work on the security of the camp. Even though there were all these strong circumstantial evidence against Gene Hart, but there was no physical evidence, unfortunately, that could have connected him directly to these murders. So at the end of the March 1979, the jury, after a brief deliberation, acquitted Gene Hart of the murders of Leroy Farmer, Denise Milner, and Michele Guse. Gene Hart literally took a sigh of relief on the declaration. He threw his face on his hand and he was sobbing in the courtroom. Though he was acquitted of all these murders, but he still had to serve his 305 years of imprisonment from his last crimes. But he died just 2 months later on June 4th, 1979 from a heart attack after he exercised in the prison. Even though Gene Hart died, but there were many questions that was raised. If Gene Hart committed this crime, did he committed it alone? Because of course 3 young girls from 8 to 10 years old were too much for one person to handle. Although a few campers heard girls screaming, but it was not like they were being hysterical. So there is a strong possibility that it was more than one person who committed these crimes. There were several other suspects who were speculated to be involved in these murders, but they were ruled out one by one. As time was passing by, with the advancement in DNA technology, OSBI submitted a semen sample which was obtained in 1989, which was obtained from one of the pillow covers from crime scene to FBI lab for testing. But unfortunately, a full DNA profile could not be determined due to the sample degradation, but this partial DNA profile didn't rule Hart out as a suspect. After that, there was not much advancement in this case. The case went cold and remained unsolved. But then in 2008, when DNA tests on pillowcase evidence appeared to show a partial female DNA profile as well, although the experts confirmed that the DNA did not belong to 2 of the victims, but they could not exclude the possibility that DNA could belong to the 3rd victim. But Sherry Farmer, mother of Lori Lee Farmer, said that she always had this gut feeling that there was a female present at the time of her daughter's death. But But this DNA could not bring something big forward. Until in 2016, when Mays County Sheriff Mike Reed raised $300,000 in donations to reopen the case and carry out new DNA testing. The DNA test had been carried out in 2019 as well that strongly pointed to Hart's involvement in the killings. But result of this test was not made public until in May 2022, just last month, when Sheriff Reed publicly declared these results on the request of the parents of victims. But officially, these results are to be deemed inconclusive as no full DNA profile was ever developed in the case. The test also eliminated several other suspects but could not eliminate Hart. Sheriff Mike Reed of Mays County said in his statement that unless something new come up, something brought to light that we are not aware of, I am convinced where I am sitting of Hart's guilt and involvement in this case. There are even reports that now they are looking forward to officially close this case. Technically, it is solved to some point, but officially this case will remain unsolved because all the DNA evidences have been exhausted, whether these were semen samples, touch DNA, or DNA formed in the form of hair which was found stuck to the duct tape which the killer used on these girls. Meanwhile, parents of these girls did some amazing work. Farmer's family founded Oklahoma Parents of Murdered Children for victims' families for such cases to come together, fight together. Guse's father became a victim's right advocate. These families came up so strong after suffering something this brutal and unjust. As for the Camp Scott place, Camp Scott never reopened or reoperated after the day these girls were murdered. This place looks so creepy considering the fact that it was abandoned right next day these girls were murdered. I just hope that we soon find out who the actual killer was. My heart and support goes to these victims' family. That's about it for today's case. Stay safe and I will see you in my next video. Bye.